Hey guys, this is Eli here with Ancestral Recall, and we're going to be banging out another section of my cube. So today, we are going to look at the blue. Not going to spend a lot of time talking before I get to the cards because, hey, today is pre-release day for Journey to the Gods, and I want to be well rested and be well studied for that. So, anyway, next review coming up is Homelands, which I hope you guys enjoy, but in the meantime, let's get right to this blue. Alright, starting off with creatures. So, a great blue creature, solid, although it requires a serious investment. Enclave, Cryptologist, you need to get them to 3 to really start feeling the power, but honestly, I like this card a lot more than Whispers of the Muse, just because you get consistent return after an initial investment. So, is it worth doing in the early game? That's a good question. That's why I have this in here, to pose difficult questions. Next up, Jushi Apprentice. Does not wear sweatpants with its area on the back. Now, seriously, here we've got a card not quite as efficient as Cryptologist in the late game, but early game, yeah, this is fine. I have flipped him before. It's a very exciting time when it does flip. Following up, we've got Luther Ilkor. Yeah, you're going to notice that blue focuses a lot on drawing cards as well as discarding cards. Blue in this cube has some decent creatures in terms of power toughness, but it has a low number of creatures compared to the other colors and low power toughness in comparison to the others, which I feel that is the traditional focus of blue in cubes, but you'll find that with the increased emphasis on fighting, blue is the path you want to take when you're not so interested in fighting. White has most of the better flyers, to be honest. Anyway, Luther Ilkor with Shadow and filtering your hand, awesome card. Merfolk Luther, here's our other version of looting. So, basically straightforward. Thrumming Bird. I want to throw a bone to Johnny in this cube. There are a number of creatures which get +1/+1 counters. There's very little infect, so the Propagate isn't going to do poison counters, but there are lots of different things that can happen with this card. It's just always a joy when it hits the table. Waterfront Bouncer. The card that I think Mike Long is the guy who made most famous. No thanks to my suggestions. I told him not to use the Miracle Grow, and boy was I wrong. Brackwater Elemental, yeah, so here's a Serpentish card in that it's 4/4, gets into a fight in terms of blocking. Usually it's going to block. And it does have the Unearth to just put a little extra pressure on, so that makes it fun. Drift of Phantasms, so we've got Transmute, a little bit of combo here. I think that 05 flying is actually a pretty reasonable counterspell, as it were, countering some 4 or 5 drop in most other colors, and that it's going to be able to block every turn. Leech Bonder, yeah, we've got a little Q action here. So this is an interesting variant on Prodigal Sorcerer. I just think it's pretty neat. It's risky to do because, once it starts entering the red zone, if the way's not clear, bad things can happen, but I dig it. Master of Ethereum. We've got a couple robots in this cube, and Master of Ethereum boosts them. Enough said. One of the favorite things I like in Magic is Ninja, and this cube has quite a few Ninja. Here's Mistblade Shinobi, which is not quite as painful as some of the others, but yeah, it's pretty solid in tempo. If you can find some way to give this evasion, ooh, it's brutal. Unfortunately, Hugure is not in this cube. Alright, here is our Tim, obligatory. Yeah, this cube is more old school, so it's got a little more blue Tim action than red Tim action. Seagate Oracle, yeah, so we've got a solid drawing a card spell here. 1/3 body and you get one of 2 good cards. That's pretty awesome. And one card I skipped with my hand, so let me go back to it. Oh, what's this doing here? Propaganda. This should be in the spell section. Yeah, Propaganda. Boo! Hiss! I hate Propaganda. I've talked about it in many other videos before, but just because I hate it doesn't mean that other people don't enjoy playing it. So back to this. Battle Coast Scouts. Here's a nice evasion guy. We've got 2/1 in Shadow, and you can send him back to your hands in case something really bad happens. So it's a good way of pitching lands or whatever. I really enjoyed this guy in big box drafts and various junk cubes back in the day. Treasure Mage. Yep, this will occasionally find a bomb. I have this guy in, and not Trinket, I think. Do I have Trinket? Yep, I've got the brothers here. Yep, so for Artificers, blue is definitely the color that's going to assist you the most. Wall of Air. Classic 1/5 wall. Blue is a pretty defensive color, and I want to give cards to allow it to cover itself. Willbender. This is really a 3-drop with a 2-drop activation because you never want to play it face up. This is shenanigans. I love the Willbender. Wizard Mentor. This is a nice defensive card again. Bouncing things. There are a couple cards that you can abuse this in. And yeah, it's just got a cool ability. I am a teacher, so I tend to be biased towards teachers. And here is Zim, the Ice Age Tim. Yeah, there are better ones out there, but I decided let's go with the most generic ones. Ghost Ship. Arr, pirates. Blue gets ninjas and pirates. That's awesome. Yeah, that crazy triple blue regenerate. Whatever, it still works. Better 4-drop flyer is Latchkey Fairy. 3/1 Prowl. Very hard to get that off, but 3/1 flyers for 4. Sometimes you're going to play him. Master Transmuter. You can get up to some shenanigans in this. Yeah, so, and you'll notice that if there are colored artifacts in this cube, they're all blue. Well, no, there's one gold card. The Tidehall Sculler. That's the exception. Okay, Ninja of the Deep Hours. I told you guys I like Ninja, so we've got not 1, but 2. For Nimpo. Ninja power, please. That's so hokey. Phantom Monster. A lot better than that 3/1 flyer for 4. We've got the original 3/3 for 4 with flying. Alpha, Beta Unlimited. Casting costs just weren't fair. Phyrexian Metamorph. Nice copy card. This is one of only a few clone effects in the cube. I didn't want to go overboard with the clone effects, but I figure if I'm going to give a clone, might as well make it very versatile. Sailmonger! Whee! Lots of fun in that everything can take to the air with mana. This is more interesting in group games, I think. Suratami Minesweeper. I won lots of games in the PTQ with this, which was one of the PTQs where I qualified for. I think this was London. Yeah, unfortunately I couldn't go. Bummer. But anyway, Minesweeper, we've got a few mill effects in the cube. This is one of them. I like this one just because once the game gets to a certain point, you just wrap it up. All in 1 or 2 sweeps. Doesn't require a ton of investment. Talos Airship. It's got the swords and the little dagger and the shield on portal cards. They're cool. Talrand, Sky Summoner. No. I really don't like Talrand. I've seen it played in too many standard decks, so I don't have good feelings about this card, but I feel like blue has a lot of instants and sorceries in this cube, so you might as well be able to exploit it. Thieving Magpie. I used to play this in Chevy Blue. 1/3, draws you a card every time it connects. Woo. Can't go wrong with that. Windrider Eel. Here is a badass flyer. It's 2/2 on the blocks, but periodically it's going to hit in for 4. That's efficiency. Zendikar had so many good attackers, and this one was too slow, generally speaking, and that's what I didn't like about Zendikar block. But yeah, it was solid. Wonder. Yes, strike him down, and you're going to have a hard time blocking the rest of your guys. I dig Wonder. Really solid card. Air Elemental, we got the Portal Arts. It is a classic. Although there is a strict upgrade to this cube, we've got a Djinn of Wishes, which allows you to just play things for free, which is silliness. Although you can't play creatures if you flip them over on your opponent's turn. They still have to follow the regular timing rules, but these are the breaks. Break it up, break it up, break it down. Meloku the Clouded Mirror. Yep, can't go wrong here. One of Kamigawa's most important legends. This guy just spams the board with flyers if you're not hitting a land drop, and it is a good closer. It's almost a blue fireball. Mischievous Quanar. You know Willbender? Well, this guy it doesn't will bend, he copies things. So the nice thing about Quanar is if someone's playing a sorcery or instant again later, you can copy it again. Just keep morphing them and then turning them upside down. So sweet. Lots of fun here. Definitely a Johnny card. Sarah Sphinx. Yeah. Just an alternate Sarah Angel with the cool planar chaos borders. I love that little spiral in the center. Kind of feels Whovian. Sphinx of Lost Truths. Yeah, so we've got some super filtering here, although sometimes if you have a little more mana, it gets to just play a straight up Ancestral. Ooh, I love flyers like this. But yeah, not amazing stats on the power and toughness. Vezuvan Shapeshifter. So many shenanigans can happen with this guy. And he happens to combo with another Morph card in this cube. Yeah, I like Morph in blue. I feel like blue is definitely the most sneaky, and Morph is one of the best creature sneaking mechanics, which is why I emphasize it quite a bit. Ether Snipe from Lorwyn. Just a classic big body with a nice effect. Brine Elemental. We've got the Pickles lock in here, gentlemen. So yeah, I do occasionally allow a broken combo. I feel like blue deserves to have, some kind of dream towards that. And yeah, turning someone asleep for a turn, locking them out of their untap. Ooh, that's nasty. Pretty nasty stuff. Sphinx of Magosi. I don't understand why this isn't mythic. It definitely feels mythic. 6/6 flying that can get really big, plus drawing you cards. I mean, this is every blue player's dream, as long as you can get there. Chancellor of the Spires. Yeah, so we've got a goofy thing where you get to, in group games, playing someone's spell from the graveyard's nice, and milling 7. In limited, I don't really see the point of it that much. There's not that much mill to support it, but, a 5/7 flyer for 7 mana, not useless. I prefer this 7 mana Sphinx, Sphinx of Uthun. So it's Sphinx of Fact or Fiction, and Fact or Fiction is broken. At 8, we've got Stormtide Leviathan, reflecting blue's traditional, really, really expensive guys. And this one gets Island Walk, and it makes your opponents not be able to attack with Moat. Of course, it also shuts your land guys down. But yeah, I mean, it comes with its own moat. That is flavor. And it even turns their lands into islands. Just a really flavorful, rare... I mean, it feels like a mythic to me. But if it was mythic, it'd probably cost 1 less. I think that was what the development at M11 was like at the time. And one more Leviathan. We've got Inkwell Leviathan at 9. So if you've got Master Transmuter out, you can cheat this guy out for just 1 mana. 7-11, he's open 24 hours these days because 7-11s are all 24 hours. Island Walk, Trample Shroud, enough said. Great, great fatty. And now we get to look at those spells, which are, kind of the meat and potatoes of blue. We've got Brainstorm. Sometimes you just want to give newer players the experience of playing Brainstorm and saying, wow, look at that draw. Chain of Vapor. This card occasionally sees play in Vintage. It's good against Dredge and some other things, but yeah, check this out. I mean, we're bouncing up permanents, and then you're going back and forth, possibly sacrificing more permanents. Well, sacrificing lands to get more copies of this off. Yeah, it's fun. Mark of Eviction. Wow. You really can screw an aggro player up with this by just 1 mana. You're going to force them to committing 3 or 4 mana on their turn. This is one of Ravnica's most effective enchantments. Old school Ravnica, just to be clear. Ponder. Yeah, we got a cantrip here for blue. Want to have some of that in this cube. Not a ton. Serum Visions, likewise. Spell Pierce. Yeah, sure, let's let blue have, non-creature counters. I don't mind giving players answers to spells, but I really want to push people towards creatures. We've got Unsummon, of course. Good use of tying up big spells. Wind Zendikon. Yeah. So here we've got something you can do with extra land. You get to turn lands into 2/2 flyers. You only get one of them, but once that guy gets crunched, you get to make more. That's cool. Boomerang. God, I'm not going to start singing Bloomchin now. I have really weird music tastes. Compulsion. From Torment, we have the blue Neurosis. This is an incredible looter, really good tool for combo players, but there's not a lot of combo. I mean, there's synergy in this cube. There's not a ton of combo. Counterspell. We got the Ice Age art here. I don't understand. Yeah, she's a typical Ice Age barbarian who's being flummoxed. Courier's Capsule. Another nice artifact. Now we have the enchantment version coming in with Journey. Whatever. I'm not picky. But I feel like blue is more artifact focused, so I'd rather have this in the cube. Jilt. Yeah, slightly more expensive Unsummon, but if you're happening to run red, bonus. Sweet. Legacy's Allure. This is a serious threat. If you've got a slow controlling deck, this is really going to beat people up. And the creatures are small enough. Yeah, this is definitely one of blue's best 2-drops in this cube. Stealing guys is always awesome. Mana Leak. Classic. Can't go wrong with Mana Leak. Memory Lapse. Yeah, so the most played card from Homelands overall in history. Merchant Scroll, also from Homelands. So, going for your best instant. And this cube actually lets it work. If you look at Homelands, there's not a lot of instants for you to search for. Miscalculation. The cycling counterspell. I dig it. I happen to like Jeff Lobenstein. I was really familiar with his artwork through Shadowrun. Alright. Muddled Mixture, another transmute card, and yeah, it also works pretty well as an instant. Negates, slightly better than Muddled Mixture, but hey, this lets you... this doesn't transmute. Avenize! This card is bad. No, it's not bad. It's actually pretty awesome. Yeah, so this takes care of very ugly things mid-combat. I really dig this card. Remand. Can't go wrong with Remand. Classic blue counterspell, and I think it's fair because the guy gets their spell back. Telling Time. You get to tell time what to do. So much fixing in terms of... I mean, it's just super scry. Think Twice, another blue cantrip spell. Cancel, just the classic, archetypical, straightforward counterspell. Yes, we've got counterspell in here, and it's okay to have worse versions. Compulsive Research. Yeah, really amazing draw spell for 3 mana in limited. It's not Ancestral Recall, but you can't go wrong with this. Just a little repositioning here. Okay. Deja Vu. A portal sorcery. And it brings a sorcery back to your hand. I don't know if this has been eroded to say sorcery or instant because of the fact that at the time Portal didn't have an instance, but yeah, whatever. Dream Fracture. Yeah, so another counter spell, and everybody gets to draw. That's sweet. Erratic Mutation. Blue gets a little creature removal, but it's dicey. I happen to really like this card in limited. It's just a fun, fair removal spell. This is from Planar Chaos originally, if I recall. Exclude. You weren't invited. Yeah, so just an amazing, amazing counterspell variant. I mean, it hits creatures, and there's a lot of creatures in this cube, and you get to draw a card. So you just can't go wrong with this guy. Fairy Trickery, slight upgrade to cancel, whatever. Nothing in this cube matters about fairies coming back from the graveyard, so you know that tribal text not relevant here. Forbid, yeah, I really want to make sure blue gets counterspells in this cube because I do want it to feel a little bit on the constructed side, but I honestly don't think it's a very good path. But Forbid is a really awesome counterspell due to its buyback. Probe. Yeah, another card that dips into another color. We've got the Black Kicker, and it can really be some serious card advantage if it ever gets kicked. This was a great first pick in Invasion Limited. Thirst for Knowledge. It's instant speed, but you only get 2 cards if you pitch an artifact, which is not as hot as Compulsive Research, which lets you pitch a land, but on the other hand, that was sorcery, this is instant. Concentrate. Focus! Focus! Very simple. Control Magic. Yeah. What's blue without stealing things? And this is the old school stealer. Just 4 mana, straightforward. Awesome card. Deep Analysis. I'm not going to use the name for this card. It's not PG. So yeah, we got the foily version here. Yeah, drawing 2 and then drawing 2 more. Just, I mean, the life payments is usually worth it. Dismiss. Here's Counterspell with draw cards stapled on. This is slightly easier than Cryptic Command. Less decisions, you know, obviously less flexible, but hey, it's still got probably the 2 best versions of Cryptic Command. Into the Royal, Great Bounce Spell, and a cantrips. Inspiration, yeah, not so good. Not so good in terms of instant speed draw, but hey, it's an option. Treasure Trove. If you've got lots of mana, yeah, this is a great draw engine. I put this in instead of Jam Day Tomb because I feel like blue is the color that gets the most card drawing. Here we are with Washout. Really hoses monocolor players by getting huge tempo. I love it. Covenant of Minds, another interesting draw spell in that you can either draw 3 or 5 depending on how your opponent feels. Gush, yet more card draw, and you have the alt cast possible. Honden of Seeing Winds, a personal Howling Mine for 5 mana straight up. And there are a couple Hondens in the cube, so this does have potential, but not all 5. Nah, some of the Hondens I think are kind of boring. The green one I don't particularly care for. Submerge. Here's a bounce effect. Well, it's better than bounce because it goes on top, and you can sometimes play it for free. Awesome. Telemann Performance. So, if you want to get a great creature from your opponents, well, you never know what you're going to get. Life is like a box of chocolates, to quote Forrest Gump, but yeah, this is pretty awesome. Well, if you submerge something and then play Telemann Performance, then you know what you're going to get. Tidings. Good tidings to all. Actually, no, just but you get to draw 4. Traumatic Visions. Here we have a little land fixing. You have basic land cycling. 5 mana for a counterspell. Not exciting. Hey, blue gets back from the brink. So here we have a little bit of necromancy going on in blue. Exiling creatures from your yard and putting copies into play. That sounds like lots of fun. 6 mana. This is something a little offbeat, a little quirky. You know, every cube needs to have some late game effects that are very splashy. Confiscate. Swipe anything. Mind Unbound. Crazy personal Howling Mine. This is actually quite dangerous and limited if the game goes on for 3 or 4 turns because you are very likely to end up decking yourself. But this is excitement. Volition reigns, really can steal everything, and it untaps, which is badass. Urtai's Meddling. Counter a spell, kind of, and then give it you're putting suspend counters on it. That is the new technology. It uses suspend. Eventually it's going to come in. And in the meantime, Urtai's Meddling, it's a pretty interesting and fun counterspell variant. Power Sink, classic counterspell, taps opponents out if you've got lots of mana. Repeal, another great bounce spell. Mind Spring, draw X, pretty straightforward. Venerian Gold. This card is actually horrible. It taps a creature down for many, many turns. And that's it. The templating on this card is so weird. I put this in my cube, not because it's a great card, but it's one of these, what the hell is that? Sometimes when you see what the hell is that cards, you want to just pass on it. And this card, I feel like this is a what the hell is this pass on it card. It's not very effective removal, but I felt like giving blue a slightly different version of dehydration in here. So that's the cube. Oh, no. Forgot. Blue Sun. Blue Sun, yeah. Blue Sun Zenith. So we get to recycle it, and it draws cards, which is at instant speed. Awesome. Okay, guys, so that's the blue cards in my cube. Don't forget, I have a link below, so if you want to see the entire cube and possibly draft it, that is certainly an option. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to try to keep getting these cube videos out. They're actually some of the easiest videos for me to make, even though they're long, just because it's me talking, and I know my cube pretty well. So if you enjoyed this, please hit that like button and subscribe. And I hope you guys enjoy future installments. I'll try to get this series wrapped up. Well, I'll try to get another show for the cube out in 2 weeks. So anyway, thanks for watching. This is Eli Kaplan for Ancestral Recall, signing off. Good games, and good luck.